we've got our final two speakers who are with you in person today, who are our student voice. So we've got Olayinka Amire and Alexandra Sanyaolu. Hopefully their cameras will work and we'll be able to see them. Brilliant, I can see you both. They are the president and vice president of the African Caribbean Medical Society at King's College. We've been really delighted at QMEC to be working with them, and it's been a real privilege to get to know them, and I really wanted them to share with you guys the work that they've been doing. So I will hand over to you both.
Alex?
Yeah. Can everyone see the slides?
We can, yeah.
Great. So hi, I'm Alexandra. I'm the current Vice President of the Caribbean, the King's African and Caribbean Medical Society. I'm currently intercalating in an MSc in Global Mental Health, and I am in my 5th year at King's, so I was on the extended medical degree program here at King's, which is aimed at widening access to medicine.
And hi, I'm Olayinka Amire. I'm also intercalating at King's this year, and I am the president of the African and Caribbean Medical Society.
Great. So we're just going to talk a bit about our letter to the faculty and some experiences of students here at King's. So in May, due to the unrest following the murder of George Floyd in America, which then trickled down to the US and resulted in protests here, we felt that we were seeing issues that had long been swept under the rug in the UK coming to the fore, and we felt that the message that we saw at King's was hollow. As I said, we've both been at King's, this is our 5th year now, and a lot of the sort of information in those statements we felt King's weren't living up to, and we hadn't seen that in our personal experiences, and we hadn't seen the support as Black students, and especially not from the med school. So we felt that we needed to write a letter to the faculty to sort of bring these issues up and try and create some solutions to these issues that we'd been seeing for a long time. And it was a group effort across all year groups. So it wasn't just me and Olayinka, it was people in the years below us and above us who'd had similar experiences and also wanted to contribute. And our letter inspired other university ACMSs and ACSs, African and Caribbean societies, to do the same, to write to their medical school, to write to their universities and try and create some change.
So in terms of our letter, we really wanted to make sure our letter encompassed a lot of areas that we ourselves as students and other students felt weren't really well dealt with. So the first thing we really wanted to talk about was OSCE resits and dropout rates, and to get some more information and insight to it, as often many Black students and other students of colour have often expressed feelings of going into the OSCEs and feeling like we've done our best, and the reasoning behind why we didn't do as well wasn't the same compared to our white colleagues. And we really want to learn more about whether it's just the way we were feeling, or if there was some statistics or anything around it which might justify it, and if there was any bias going on, and just to gain some more insight to make sure, just to work out how we were feeling and moving forward from there. We really wanted to raise some issues that we'd felt there were in terms of the MSA and the yearly comedy review, which had often had a lot of backlash from students. We wanted to tackle areas where there was a lack of support on placement sites, and as well as lack of support, lack of ways to actually report concerns and raise issues that we might have had, and areas of teaching about Black skin or about ethnicity in the curriculum. And the final thing we really wanted to get some more insight into and raise and just generally learn more about was the BME, the BAME attainment gap, and to actually see if there was an attainment gap in medicine, as the BME attainment gap had been done for other subjects but hadn't yet been applied for in medicine. So we really wanted to just see if we can learn some more, and from what we did learn, hopefully produce and make some recommendations which would see a change further on in the med school.
So now we're just going to go into some experiences of Black students at King's. Following on from our letter, we were approached by a doctor who wanted to collect information and qualitative experiences from students as Black students at King's. We're able to collect these from students who are currently at King's across a variety of year groups, and also alumni who are now doctors. I'm just going to go through some of those experiences now.
So amongst some of the experiences that we actually got from some of the students, one of them was, as you can see, a student had gone on to placement and had tried to approach a patient, and the patient had in turn pretended they didn't speak English. And after they walked out, happily spoke to another range of white students after they left. Another experience that one of the students did share with us was during their placement, one of the doctors that was in charge of them and their colleague didn't speak or look at them for almost their entire placement, and instead addressed all their questions or information to their white male colleague. And these were some of the feelings that these students were getting. And one of the stories that we really did get was also about a student in their first year of medical school. They'd walked into a computer room at KCL, not realizing it'd been booked for a session. And the teacher running the session had asked her for her name, what she'd studied. And after introducing herself, she was called stupid and was told that she would be a terrible doctor in front of the whole class. And this feeling, she described herself feeling that she was mortified, and it intensified the imposter syndrome, which she'd been feeling. And these were feelings that she had got moving into med school and now further reinforced in med school. She also describes the time where during her teaching, they were having a lecture on gait, and there was several references that if students wanted to see where they can find poor gait, that they should head down to Peckham, and they would see a lot of poor gait there. A final thing that they actually discussed in their experience was often when they were on placement and they would contribute during the actual teaching, the doctor leading the teaching would often not really accept their contributions and dismiss them, requiring her to provide subsequent evidence and cite as much guidelines as she can to actually prove that her contribution was of value. And instead, she'd often be just dismissed and her contributions taken as wrong, in comparison to her white or Asian colleagues, who their contributions were taken more so as facts, and they weren't really required to provide that evidence. And these in itself were just some of the experiences that some other students have had, as well as ourselves. And we've had some experiences ourselves, but it's more so, this is just in itself the different aspects that some students have had to go through, and it's not an isolated instance. It's things that generally tend to happen from student to student.
So we're just going to go through some of the progress that we've seen from our letter.
So after our letter, we had subsequent meetings with King's and with the faculty. And although there have been quite a few tangible and very well done results itself, we generally feel after those meetings, after these engagements, we feel that although we have been listened to, we weren't really fully heard, which we felt itself was quite demoralizing, as the George Floyd murder in itself was a tipping point in terms of the Black Lives Matter movement, or Black Lives Matter in itself. And it was due to this tipping point, this momentum, that we were able to highlight the issues that we faced in medicine. And we could use this short-lived momentum to hopefully enact measures which would benefit us as students moving forward, and hopefully put things in place which would benefit not only ourselves, but those coming after us.
So working with QMEC, who reached out to us due to our letter, we've been able to do a lot with them in progress, try and educate staff members about what it's like to be a Black student here at King's, and about the ways in which we can improve the experiences of Black students. So the biggest thing that's come out of it is our reverse mentoring scheme, which is where Black students are mentoring white or just non-Black staff members about what it's like to be a Black student at King's, with experiences not just from placement but also from university throughout the time they've been at King's. So we have 2 Black final year students mentoring 3 QMEC staff members, and a lot has come out of it where staff are learning about what it's like to be a Black student and actually coming up with results on how to improve the experiences for all Black students, not just those in final year, and about ways in which students are able to feel more a sense of belonging and therefore improve the attainment of students because they feel more part of the university and able to progress more. We've also, me and Olayinka have also been able to assist in workshops and speak to staff directly about our experiences as Black medical students and try and give more of an insight into what it's like to people who have never been able to experience it and may not have been able to speak to students about their experiences of it. So we've been able to give more information to staff members and try and improve the lives of students here at King's. And we're really proud of all we've been able to do with KCL, and we've also been able to have a wider impact on the college as a whole.
Yeah, so as well as all the things we have done with KCL, we've also seen some changes to the reporting system at King's, as the previous raising concerns procedure wasn't very well known. The site that it had up for students to do was at least 5 years out of date, and there has been some change in that. It's been updated, and there are measures for students to actually report concerns anonymously if necessary, although there will not be any follow-up for anonymous concerns, but there is a method for students to at least let there be known that they've had issues, they have a concern, something's happened, and there's a better, more in-your-face method to actually report a concern. And this in itself has started to trickle more into the wider faculty, the wider faculty, in terms of having a reporting system in place for students to actually raise issues that they do have.
So as Olayinka said, it's not just now in Folsom, but there's also a reporting system coming into place for the biosciences section of the Faculty of Life Sciences and Medicine. So we are creating real change to try and improve the lives of not just medical students, but other students here at King's. And we felt that this was really helpful as we felt listened to, and that the response showed real engagement with what we were doing, and we weren't just being listened to, but action was coming out of it, and that's what we felt was the most important thing to come out of these talks we've been having. And just finally, what we hope you gain from what we've been speaking about and listening to students is that it's not just about listening to students, but letting them know that you are there for them to talk to. Students often don't feel comfortable going to staff members because they're not sure if they'll be listened to, if they'll be believed, and if there's any point, because they don't think anything will come of it. So just letting students know that you are there for them to talk to about these kind of concerns, letting them know that you're happy to talk to them about it, and that they shouldn't feel uncomfortable coming to you about racial concerns where you might not have a lot of experience, and letting students know that even if you aren't sure of the right thing to say or the right way to create improvements or sort of get these issues followed up, you are there to try and support them, letting them know that you might not say the right thing, but you're trying to do all you can to help them get through these difficult situations, and try to let them know that even if you don't know the right way to go about getting the issue resolved, you will do your best to find out what that right way is, and then keep the student up to date with how that is progressing. And you won't always know the right thing to say, people don't, but just letting the student know that you're doing your best and you will do what you can to help them and to support them, and let them know that you do believe their concern, and you will be there to help them if they need it. And I think just letting the students know that you're doing your best, and letting them know that if you do go wrong, to let the student please correct you so that you don't do it again, or you're able to help another student in the future, is really important. Just knowing that you're there for the students and the students are able to go to you for help if they need it can mean a lot.